Mark,
Hey, Paul.
what's going on?
Nothing much. Just checking out how creepy Lex Luthor looks with a Brainiac helmet on.
Yeah, yeah. The last time I saw him with a Brainiac helmet on was in the Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow,
Yes, I thought
right?
the same thing. Yes.
Anyways, we got so much going on this week. We got House of Brainiac. We got Countdown to Absolute Power. We have the first part of Absolute Power as well. Well, kind of the prelude, but we're going to get to all of that right after this. Before we get started, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the like button. Make sure you leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. We've got Absolute Power is now going in full steam. So and hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. Yeah, I mean, just if you look at the thumbnail of this, we got so much going on this week, and there's even an issue that we don't even have on the thumbnail.
Yeah.
That's how much stuff came out this week. So, but
Massive
first.
news.
Exactly. So I think probably the order to take this is probably to go through House of Brainiac first because that's going to end and that's going to set up some things in Absolute Power. So we got part number 5 of House of Brainiac Action Comics. Man, this is
We need to
just
do some synopsizing.
yeah, you,
This was the no holds barred, pretty much the grand, like the big finale, not the grand finale, not the cherry on top, but this was just action throughout. Just to remind everybody, we last left this series with Queen Brainiac being activated and savagely killing all of the Zarnians save Lobo. Superman's plugged in as the final piece to draw power to activate her, and that's where we start. We're on Brainiac's ship. Superman's plugged in. He's screaming that Brainiac killed all of the innocent Zarnians, innocent or not. And Queen Brainiac is huge. She's gigantic. It looks like the more power she has, the bigger, more monstrous she gets. And we flash through this ultimate scenario of all this power she's going to drain and all these people she's going to kill, the super family, eating all the bottled cities that he has, blah, blah, blah. She needs all this power. And while Brainiac is talking, the main man rolls in. The main man said, I finally found a family that I actually liked, and you killed them all. So he kind of gives his apology to Superman and just starts freeing Superman and going ham.
and he was most pissed because he wasn't the one who got to kill him.
Yeah, legit. He wanted to re-be the last Zarnian, but he wanted to play with him for a little bit first.
Right.
But he frees Superman, frees Supergirl. The fight takes off immediately against Queen Brainiac, while Brainiac wanders off to go look for a more power. And who does he need? None other than Lex Luthor's daughter. And we almost get what I felt was an homage to something here. He takes Lena Luthor, full sizes her, and slams her up against the wall, where the wall itself, being the Brainiac ship, cables come down and hook up to her, and metal starts connecting to her. She is now part of the ship and part of the processing ability of Brainiac. We saw him fritzing out before. Too much knowledge, too much power. He has to channel it through someone else, and who better than pretty much a harbinger themselves with Lena Luthor here. Did you get Superman 3 vibes for a split second?
Oh, yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, all right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and so we it goes back to it calls back to some of the previous stories for Lena Luthor. Is it Lena or Lena?
This is Lena, I think. Lena,
Okay.
right?
Okay, Lena. Yeah.
Lana would be Lana.
Right, that's true. So we'll go with Lena Luthor. But yeah, it goes way back. There are a lot of different callbacks to different things through these stories. Everything that we're going to cover. Like you said, right down to we mentioned it off the top of the show is the Brainiac head on Luthor callback to
whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. Except he's alive inside of this one.
Right.
Yeah,
we'll see how much
in the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so now that she's hooked up, all this power, he's computing properly, no more fritzing. Superman's telling Connor to go get Lena, little Lena, and he's on it. But before he can, he gets smacked down. Big fights happening, when he taps into some of that, that telekinesis stuff that he's got going on. and he realizes he's got more juice than he ever knew because of events that happened before, and he hits it hard, hits the ground, and rattles the entire ship. It's slowly caving in. But in the meantime of doing it, it cut her off from her power. Queen Brainiac gets back down to normal size, and Brainiac is pissed. He attacks Superman, and we get a nice slugfest until Brainiac's family that was in the backup story in the past couple issues shows up to kind of calm him down long enough for the twins to show up to Superman. The whole super family's there, and now they have a secondary mission. Brainiac's family's got him calmed down. Queen Brainiac is now depowered. Now their goal is to save all these bottled cities and the millions and millions of people that are alive inside of them before this ship blows up. Lex is on the job. He wants to go get his daughter, and he's going to help out. So what does he do? He puts on a Brainiac skull helmet. Shout out to whatever happened to the Man of Tomorrow. If y'all remember, he got his neck snapped by Brainiac, and Brainiac inserted himself onto Luthor's head and drove his body around like a meat puppet in that book. But he's full computing in here. It's pretty cool. And Lobo, Supergirl, and Superman, they throw up their defenses, and they're going to hold off the army of Brainiacs that are going to come, while Lex goes into the Brainiac software, into Lena's mind, and tries to get her out of there.
Right. His goal is to shut down Brainiac, basically. Exactly, by going in, because he put in, when he was working with Brainiac, he put in a back door that would help him do this. There's also, again, some more allusions to exactly, there's still that one part. There's one thing of knowledge that that Brainiac still is missing. It's never actually said, but I still think it's got to be love to me.
It's
That's
love.
that's
Yeah,
the thing
but it's
that
his family that's
right.
telling them and calming them down. They haven't said it, but they're showing us.
Yeah, exactly. But that sets up part 2, or part 6 rather, which is Superman
Well, I
number.
do want to say the backup story in this is
Yes. Oh,
completely
yeah.
relevant.
Yes, absolutely.
Keep in mind, Lex plugs in to go into Lena's head. Superman, Supergirl, and Lobo defense up. That's where it ends. Cut to the backup story is him immediately going into her head, and we see how it plays out in her head. And this is where they give you context to Lena's past history with Brainiac, him experimenting with her, them having to save her, blah blah blah. And you follow this all the way to the point of it was actually a touching moment. You see them fighting some defenses inside of the Brainiac software, and then you see them both plugged up side by side. And for the first time since she's entered the Superman story arc, if you look at their hands, they just grab each other. They're fighting side by side inside of Brainiac's tech to shut it down together. So that was actually pretty relevant. It was smooth into the backup story. It was spot on. And that's right where we pick up with Superman issue 15.
Correct. We got Brainiac and Lena fighting against against Brainiac. Meanwhile, we get the drag out battle between the army of Brainiac and all of the heroes.
There's some great page splashes in here as well. And all the while the fighting, you have more of the Brainiac soldiers trying to repiece together Queen Brainiac. Superman's coming in strong. Brainiac's not holding back. You get some big moments. Both of these guys are going toe to toe with each other, and right as Brainiac's like posturing, the House of Brainiac is won. The Super Family's done caught up with them, been fighting over here, caught up to the fight with Superman, and they're going ham, shutting them down. And inside the software, Lex and Lena have made it to the mind, and Lex shuts it down. He plugs into it, blasts it, shuts it down, and that drops all of the other Brainiacs in their tracks. Got her out, got himself out. The ship starts to blow, and Lobo, the main man himself, been walking up with all the cities. He's like, I got this stuff. I'm just going to shrink everything down again. It ain't going to be a problem. So Lobo actually saves all the city by just like tripling down on the shrinking size of them and just gets them. Brainiac chooses to stay behind on the ship, telling everyone to get out of there. He can't leave. The emotions that he's feeling are messing him up. Superman offers let's get you out of here, and he asks Superman to save Kolu, as it's all that he has left before they're out of time, which was the city on top of the ship itself. He full-sized Kolu, his homeworld, on top of his ship, and Superman said, all right, I'll go get it, but get out of here, because despite all this, we don't want to see you die either, my man. and Brainiac stays behind. He starts dragging Queen Brainiac out of here, and this was such a beautiful scene. We
Mhm.
start getting some dialogue. Brainiac by himself in the ship that's cracking, exploding, falling apart around him, dragging his would be beloved body to a capsule, talking to Superman, though he's not present, just as your father did. There is still time. Warp drive engaged. Escape pod commence. After all the knowledge I have stolen, I felt a hole inside of me. I knew that I too would die someday, so I tried to create something that would outlast me, something new. I give you all that I am. He touches Queen Brainiac's face and sends her out, and this as a sole survivor of the House of Brainiac, as it all explodes like Krypton did on a rocket jettisoned for Earth. I'm like, oh my god, that was amazing.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, I mean, you mentioned it. A call out to Superman's origin, perfect parallel to Superman's origin. Other things that were uh, Lobo takes these cities, he actually enlarges them, and they make this Colo 2.0, which is basically this basically huge planet that has all the different cities that
All in
Brainiac had
one.
captured, basically all in one.
No way
Um,
that's not going to go bad.
exactly. He called it absolute chaos. We're using absolute a lot.
Yeah,
So
absolute chaos.
right. Brainiac also mentions that he has basically moved throughout time and space. When he says that there's no way the Superman can beat him, and he calls out some things. He calls out the source door. He calls out the Great Healing. He calls out the Millionth World, and he calls out the Crisis Gauntlet. I'm wondering if those are seeds that are being planted by Joshua Williamson for things coming up. The Crisis Gauntlet is kind of a interesting take on basically DC's and Marvel's two, to me, in my mind, two greatest crossovers that they've ever done.
Yeah,
So I don't know if that was just a play on words or if there's something that's going to come with any of those. But yeah, those, I could definitely see somebody somewhere down the road, picking up one of those and running with it. And
I'm good
um,
for anything that they want to write about the Source Wall or the New World gods.
yeah.
It's always good
Uh,
when they get
At,
into it.
at the end, they go back. Superman basically goes to thank Luthor. He tells him that he's basically he didn't believe that he was actually gonna work to save everyone, but he did, and he gets the reply from Lex Luthor says,
Who?
"Who is Lex Luthor?" So we
Yeah.
find out that in his ability or in his desire to defeat Brainiac, putting on that helmet has basically robbed him of his personality. He has, we don't know to the extent of it, but he doesn't even know who he is
Goofy
anymore.
face on him when he said it
Yeah,
too. He looked weird. So he
right,
had that like
exactly.
child mind innocence look on his face, like who?
Yeah. um, and then to me, the biggest call out on the very last page, we get
Let's
basically
freaking go.
a call out to Doomsday, exactly the way we first saw Doomsday way back, 30 years ago. Um, is basically we know he's in hell. He's looking to escape hell the same way he escaped from his cage that he was in
Yeah, so for
30 years
context,
ago.
we had that Doomsday special one shot, like what, like a year ago now, where they
Mm,
just reminded all of us that Doomsday is in hell and hell is scared to death that Doomsday is there and hell is doing everything it can to keep him there.
right.
But
Yeah,
it's not working.
Bloodwind, who is the Superman of hell, basically, is there.
Working his way to Doomsday. He might be the first fatality along the way if that's the case, because we've talked about this before. Doomsday is actually a really well protected character.
Hmm.
Doomsday, most famously known for fighting Superman to the death. Give one. And kind of like the classic comic trope is a villain is only a good villain until he's defeated. You
Hmm.
know, like Thanos was like the ultimate villain in Infinity Gauntlet. Now he's fought heroes countless times, and you see that's just a normal comic trope. Noel was only intimidating till they beat him, and now Doomsday, he's been pretty well protected, and they're bringing him back out. He fought Superman, and they both died. And we've seen him pop up in little iterations, like in Infinite Crisis, he popped up for a second, but you had two Supermen, including the Golden Age Superman, which you don't want to talk about his strength, like set, like it. They both went simultaneously and took him down for the moment till the event
Right.
ran out. But I'm very excited to get Doomsday back, like legit.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, me too. And Joshua Williamson, what are you going to do? Hopefully they bring back Jamal. Oh, Jamal Campbell is actually going to do the Superman crossover issues um,
The
with, with
interiors,
with with Absolute Power. Yes.
let's
So
go.
he's on the next three issues.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah,
You know,
because it's been far too long.
yeah, we typically have also a phenomenal interior team on this next book as well.
Hmm.
Well, no, because you probably got one before the next book, don't you? We got to wipe off the House of Brainiac.
Exactly. So we know basically Queen Brainiac has been sent to Earth. Oh, yes, we got Power Girl. Yes. So we're gonna call an audible here and say basically if you're not getting Power Girl, if you're getting Power Girl as one of your normal pulls, this is really important. And you enjoy it. Absolutely. If you're getting it as part of the House of Brainiac tie-in, don't bother.
Don't
Okay.
bother.
Basically, it has absolutely nothing to do. There's a throwaway line in Superman that says that Power Girl was helping to keep Metropolis safe. But basically, the entire Power Girl crossover is her and Crush and whatever's going on basically with them. It has absolutely nothing to do with House of Brainiac. So,
And there's a couple of Zarnians that stayed behind after the initial invasion of Part One of House of Brainiac, and that was it.
right. Yeah. So we're gonna call an audible and just kind of skip over that. And we're gonna move now to absolute power. Now that House of Brainiac is over, we can start once again in absolute power, and we start off with Green Arrow, number 13.
Another countdown issue. You know, the last issue of Green Arrow we featured, it was just the last page. He said, I have to go deal with the Waller stuff now. We're dealing with it.
Mhm. Yeah. We basically we see Oliver kind of he gets up in the middle of the night. He suddenly disappears. All of the Arrow family is basically there having breakfast. Dinah wants to know where Ollie is. No one knows. We find
But
out that
48 hours later, he arrives at
right
the Hall
of order.
of Order.
Right. He's there. Seemingly, he thinks he's there just to make sure that all the things that the Justice League has accumulated over the years that they've stayed safe. No one has managed
It's pretty much
to
there
grab
to
them.
inventory the armory.
Right. Exactly. But Peacemaker tells him, well, not exactly.
Yeah, okay, buddy.
Yeah. Um, you got a little bit more that you need to do.
There's his face responding to that. Like, yeah, okay, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Peacemaker's a trip, man. Like, I
Mhm.
want to like him so much, but he's so unlikable.
Right.
He's so unlikable.
Right.
But the
And,
part that blew my mind is he gets there, makes his intentions known. Like, I'm here just to verify everything's still here, verify it's safe, blah, blah, blah. Peacemaker's like, yeah, right, bud. I'm sure she's got more plans for you, blah, blah, blah. And the part that blew my mind is he delivered Sanctuary immediately to Amanda
mhm,
Waller, kept his end of the deal. He said, I'll go get Sanctuary if you tell me where Roy is. We found Roy. And he delivered Sanctuary to Amanda Waller.
mhm. Yeah. Oh no. And then Peacemaker shows him something. We don't know what it is, but Peacemaker shows him something that basically causes him um, to agree to work with Waller some more, basically.
Yeah,
Um,
they got something up their sleeve, that's for sure. We
yeah,
cut back to Belle Reve North, and we get Roy and his kid breaking into a Belle Reve North facility, and they're going to forget what are they trying to break out? Yeah, they're going to
trying
get
to
their mom. They're going to
Cheshire.
going to get Cheshire out. They break Cheshire out. A great little fight sequence. The whole like, please don't kill anyone, Cheshire. Let's just get you out of here. You ain't gonna kill all these guards. And Cheshire gets out. Leanne gets out. Roy gets nabbed by Green Arrow of all people, who shows up as part of the security squad, rocking a Task Force X patch on his suit. His suit looks great, by the way,
Mhm.
with the black suit, with the tactical gear on it, with the green hood cape quiver. It looks good. Roy's like, "What you doing, buddy?" They talk for a split second, and then he kicks Roy out of the building, literally out of the building, seemingly to fall to his death. Air quotes. Peacemaker walks in, so obviously he protected his angle with Waller, and Peacemaker tries to get in his face, and he kind of just throws him through a wall.
Right.
Peacemaker's
Um,
a joke.
Meanwhile, Speedy is not dead. He was actually caught by Leon and Cheshire, who were actually scaling the mountain down. So he was caught. But then we flash back to the entire Arrow family again, who are talking and saying, I can't believe, what's going on. We have to call Dinah. We have to, get people involved. And, I can't believe, that Ollie is basically working with Waller. And, Speedy is like, what? It's not, I looked at his eyes. He was serious about this. This wasn't a game.
Yeah, it
He
doesn't. I
was
don't think he
playing.
has a bomb in his head. He's got conviction. And about the time they're saying this on the television, news report comes on of Superman falling from a building, which we know from reading the free comic book day edition. He tried to intervene in a robbery. He took 3 slugs to the chest and is seemingly falling to his death.
Correct. And
So,
every preview and every Absolute Power preview that has been in every single comic too. So yeah. So he's
and
falling.
the last page is pretty dope. We get someone mentions from off panel, my father's going to reject this title, then I will be Green Arrow. We have Connor Hawke as Green Arrow again.
Once
So this is
again.
gonna be fun. This is gonna be fun. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, great story. Puts you right into Absolute Power and what's going on with Ollie. So again, I don't think you need to necessarily read all of these other stories in order to enjoy the Absolute Power main story. But if this is going to be what what it adds to the main story, I'm all in for all of
Yeah,
these.
this is a big deal. The Sanctuary thing is a huge deal. Like that, when I say that this event has been crafted so well and has taken the time, like that's 6 issues of Green Arrow getting to Sanctuary. For those who don't know, that's the Justice League tech that has all of their sessions and secrets with them on it.
Right. And if you were still not convinced that what happened in this issue is gonna have implications, then I would point you towards this issue right here.
They don't stop. They don't stop. Flash, issue number 10, unfortunately by Cy Spurrier, but
Right.
fortunately it's a tie-in. Like, normally tie-ins do not improve the quality of a run. In this case,
Right.
it did it exponentially. So
Right.
as you can tell from the cover, you have the Justice Buster and Flash. And this book actually is a giant plot hole, if we're being honest. It starts off with Flash and that realm that he goes to inside the Speed Force, but somehow, some way, like they just find him with the Justice Buster in
Yeah.
there. Because this is a place where no one's been able to find Wally.
Right.
Wally doesn't even know where Wally is. He's literally talking to archangels and stuff. It's weird.
Mhm.
But the Justice Buster finds him just fine, and it becomes an all-out fight between Flash and the Justice Buster, just assuming that some random guy's in here driving it. It's Ollie. Ollie is driving it, tasked by Amanda Waller to go shut down the Flash. And there's some other stuff going on in the book with young Jay talking to old Jay, time travel, all this kind of stuff, not really relevant to Absolute Power, but it's just an all-out fight, 100% all-out fight that ultimately ends with the Justice Buster not taking out Flash and him getting away, thanks to the help of the Flash family coming in and just busting up the Justice Buster. Ultimately, Ollie ejects and gets taken out of the fight, and magically, Wally's right back to where he started the story in the little Speed Force realm between realms. There's layers to reality, like frequencies to reality. He's in this sanctuary Speed Force place. It's so weird. It's so stupid. The Flash book is absolutely terrible right now. But
it really is.
it really is. You're not a negative person. It is just it's sad when you say like this just isn't good.
Yeah. Like I said, I mean, the best part, to your point, was when Ollie was in it. It's just funny. The best part of the Flash story is when Ollie's in it.
Yeah. Green Arrow is fantastic right now. Whether
Right.
you want to pick it up to keep up with Absolute Power or not, you should probably go check out Green Arrow. It's been a fantastic 13 issues that we've gotten since Dawn of DC.
Right. And then, okay, now Dark Crisis on the Infinite Earths over. Night Terrors over. What else did we have? Gotham War over. House of Brainiac over. Now we're at the main event. We start with Absolute Power, Ground Zero.
Officially there.
Exactly.
First book in hand.
Exactly. And it's interesting because these actually have three different stories in them. There's called each story is called a stage one, stage two, stage three. Um, and they don't feature any of the characters that you see actually on the front on the cover. They
Well,
actually
makes sense. Those characters are. It's a picture of those characters on the cover being burned by Amanda Waller.
right, right. But the stories inside feature, for lack of a better term, second tier characters that seem as though they're going to have some pretty important relevance to the story overall. So we start, and then stage one we start with Dreamer, and basically, we basically are on Gamora, and Dreamer is there, and if you recall, at the end of Suicide Squad Dream Team, Dreamer had this vision where she sees that Amanda Waller has her parents, and is in control of them. And if anything happens to Amanda Waller, if her heart stops or anything, her parents are killed. Um, Amanda Waller also has the ability to kill them without her heart stopping.
That's
So
the most
basically,
probable outcome.
yeah, exactly. Um, but going back to again call outs, going back to, if you remember, Jay Nakamura, he was the son of the president of Gamora way back in Jonathan Superman, Jonathan Kent.
And
Um,
he still was the son during
yeah,
the Road to Absolute Power, the Suicide Squad Dream Team 4 issue titles that we covered. That's the character who was thrown out of the skyscraper by Amanda Waller, killed by Amanda Waller. So her
right,
son's on the run, still on this island nation, now taken over by Amanda Waller, her new base of operations.
correct. So we find Jay Nakamura running through the jungles of Gamora. Um, he is basically shot in the foot by Deadshot, I believe, and so he's laying there, and who
Jedi.
comes up? Deadeye, yeah, sorry. He comes up, and who is there to greet him but Dreamer? We find out that Dreamer is actually there to take him in. Um, and so at this point, Jay realizes that what Dreamer's role was in his mother's death and in taking over Gamora and everything. And Jay is basically put into a cell, and is left there for now. Um, but we get this thing that Dreamer has not given up her hope of stopping Amanda Waller somehow.
Yeah. It was just, I guess it was just solidifying what this book is ultimately. It's a who's where
Right.
for absolute power, because this has led up a lot. So it's just kind of letting you know that Waller has Gamora, Dreamer's under her thumb, Jay, his mom's out of power. Like
Right.
they had him in there to showcase that his mom was killed and taken out of power by Waller.
Right. Stage two features a character. If you have not been reaching Batman Urban Legends, which actually you can't anymore because it's not even printed anymore.
Time
I can't.
Command.
Time Commander, right? John Starr, Time Commander, who basically has the ability to travel through time, and can go back and fix things, so that they either don't die or whatever happens. And so he has done that in the past, but Amanda Waller wants him because she wants to know, can he do that for failsafe?
Yeah, and he uses technology of all things.
Right.
Much like Our Man has the hourglass for strength, he has his own hourglass to move through time and repair stuff. And he's dead due to the events of Batman Urban Legend. And Waller uses his own device to bring him back from the dead and commands him to take this broken failsafe and take it back to being fixed.
Correct. And so the time commander, does some things. He basically is stalling for time because he doesn't really want to do it. When he realizes what it is she wants to actually do, he then makes up this fake story about, I need these, like an electronic screwdriver. I need a flux capacitor. He
Mhm.
makes up these stories about things that he needs that don't really exist. But he gets the person to take him over to where he finds a screwdriver that actually does have like a taser type of a thing, so that what his goal is to get back to his um, time, whatever they call it. I can't think of it now. Time
Hourglass.
out is his hourglass, right? To go back to basically do everything he needs to do so that he's not in the situation that he's in anymore. And he does that, and he finds that he ends up basically trapped in a cell 5 days previous, where he is basically watching on the screen what had happened to him 5 days previously with Amanda Waller. Because even then, Amanda Waller was one step ahead of him.
Yes,
Um,
you created a time loop for him so he can
right,
only take himself back to the beginning of their time together and just waste time, or he can do what she wants and possibly get out of this. So he ultimately fixes failsafe for her. Failsafe is operational now, and then she says, "Now I only need 6 more."
right,
And we see a silhouetted shot of her Amazos.
right, exactly. Which is going to be that's going to
One
be
Amazos too much.
exactly,
Now
exactly.
there's 6 plus a failsafe.
Mhm. And then stage three basically is the whole Queen Brainiac story. Basically find now the ship that was sent off at the end of House of Brainiac. We see it crashing to Earth. We basically see Amanda Waller in there. We see basically Amanda Waller. We see through flashbacks. We see Amanda Waller basically raising Queen Brainiac from a little girl. Basically for 20 years, we see her basically raising Queen Brainiac, and then we realize that it basically has only been 20 hours. Failsafe has basically inserted Amanda Waller into Queen Brainiac's system
Yeah,
to create basically to create her own programming so that Queen Brainiac will do whatever it is
and a
Amanda Waller wants.
personality. And
Right.
in this alternate memory that they instill in her, it's 20 years of living alone on a farm with Amanda Waller as her surrogate mother, defending her from these invaders that would come to harm them. Invaders including Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Green Lantern. So she's ultimately has trained Queen Brainiac to be afraid of the superheroes and to fight them to the death before they kill them.
Right, which is very similar to what Tio Moro was doing and working with, and Amanda Waller was in the background. What he was doing with Vanadra
And
in Titans, right? Instilling this fake memory into her, and that's exactly what they've done with Queen Brainiac. And so, very chilling when Queen Brainiac basically calls Amanda Waller mother. That's really
Yeah,
kind of
so they activate her proper for the first time, and it's they use the sanctuary tech. That's how they did this, by the way, right? Was
yes,
it not in here? Yeah. So this is why she wanted sanctuary, or what she ended up using sanctuary for, if I'm not mistaken. I'm fairly certain that's what it was because like this little place even looked like sanctuary.
right,
Like when yeah, I'm trying. Yeah, the sanctuary programs merged with my own plus future VR tech have filled her data and memory drives. But Waller, you own your own mind. Must have. I don't care. It was worth the sacrifice. It gives me time to think and plan, and it gave her us. So freaking sanctuary
yeah,
embedded in this person. That's scary. That's
right,
super scary. But ultimately, that might be some kind of solution later on. That might be some kind of like saving grace later on because sanctuary is not a program meant to harm. It's
right.
quite the opposite.
Exactly. And another big story that is now
Heroes
played
in
a
crisis.
huge part in the in this. So even things that we didn't really think were going to have some sort of relevance to the to absolute power are now proving to be extremely important to what's going on. So
This is
um,
huge. This is so well crafted. It's like it's supposed to be.
right, exactly.
You can
This
pick
is the
this
way.
up and read and understand just fine what's going on, but if the more you know, the more you get out of it, and that's almost limitless with this, with how much detail and callbacks and foundation has been set for years,
Yeah,
literal years.
yeah. Yeah, and you can go back and you can point to every single story that has come, from like I said, from Dark Crisis to Lazarus Planet to whatever it is, Night
Future
Terrors.
State, really, from
Yeah, yeah,
Future State
exactly,
to the
exactly.
Tim
Infinite Power.
Sheridan's
Inf-
Teen Titans Academy,
Yeah,
the
and you can
Suicide
point to
Squad run
something that
after that.
mhm. You can point to something that has now come back to haunt and become an integral part of the story. So,
Where's Rick
um,
Flag? That's all I
right,
want to know. Uh,
exactly,
Rick Flag
um,
is out there.
exactly. And you know what? Next week we've got Absolute Power number one. So the way it works is Absolute Power is the main story, obviously. Then we have two Absolute Power, well, three now because they announced an Absolute Power Super Sun one shot. But there's Absolute Power Task Force 7, there's Absolute Power Origins, and there's Absolute Power Super Sun, which will come out over the course of the next 3 months.
Yeah.
And then,
And the Task Force 7 is cool. It's almost like what they did with Metal. It's going to be showcasing the seven Amazos specifically in each issue, kicking it off with the Superman one that's dubbed The Last Sun. That'll
right,
be going for the Captain Marvel family. Yo, I'm very excited about this.
yeah. And then we have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Arrow, and Green Lantern are the five titles that will have tie-ins, including Batman 150, which comes out next week as well. So we'll have that as well as Absolute Power #1 next week.
And for
So yeah,
context, it's only a backstory tie-in,
right.
which I kind of like that. That's kind of splitting the audience with respect. If you're reading Batman, you can read the main. It might affect it a little bit. It definitely won't a lot, but the backup story will be what services the Absolute Power event.
Yeah,
Let's see
absolutely.
how much the rest do.
Mhm. So yeah, so looking forward to next week with the first issue. But that's going to be it for this edition of DC Comics Deep Dive. Huge week, obviously. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to leave a comment. Don't forget to hit the notification bell. Do all those things before you leave. We appreciate it. And make sure you're picking up DC Comic. Absolute Power. We want to know what you think of it. So, but that's going to be it. I am Paul. He is Mark,
But we are Legion.
and you're now leaving.